What if the secret to a bigger life wasn't more money, more fame, or more possessions, but less? What if greatness wasn't about climbing higher, but digging deeper into simplicity? This is the story of Henry David Thoreau, American thinker, writer, and dreamer, who taught us that sometimes the most radical act is simply to live honestly, simply, and courageously. In the mid-1800s, America was racing toward industrial progress. Cities grew louder, factories churned. People measured success in wealth and property. But Thoreau was restless. He asked himself, is this really life? Is chasing possessions truly living or just surviving on autopilot? He longed for something deeper, something truer. In 1845, Thoreau did something radical. He left behind the noise of the city and built a small cabin near Walden Pond in Massachusetts. The cabin was nothing grand. A bed, a desk, a chair, a fireplace. Yet in that simplicity, Thoreau found a kind of wealth that no coin could buy clarity. For 2 years, he lived close to nature. He grew beans, fetched water, walked in the woods, listened to the rhythm of the seasons. More importantly, he listened to himself. Thoreau wrote, "I went to the woods because I wished to live deliberately, and not, when I came to die, discover that I had not lived." It wasn't about running away. It was about running toward a more intentional life. But Thoreau's simplicity wasn't just about nature. It was about conscience. When he saw slavery still thriving in America, and when the government fought wars he considered unjust, he refused to pay his taxes. For that, he was jailed. To most, it was foolish. To Thoreau, it was necessary. He believed, if the law requires you to be the agent of injustice to another, then I say, break the law. This quiet act of resistance later inspired Mahatma Gandhi and Martin Luther King Jr. in their struggles for justice. Thoreau proved that sometimes the greatest fight is not with swords or fists, but with conscience, the courage to stand by it. Modern psychologists call Thoreau's choice a pursuit of intrinsic values, seeking fulfillment not in external rewards, money, status, approval, but in deeper values, authenticity, connection, purpose. Studies show that people who focus on intrinsic values report higher happiness and resilience, even during hardships. Thoreau's retreat to Walden wasn't escapism, was a laboratory for the mind, a space where he could test what truly matters, and his civil disobedience. Today, political scientists describe it as moral courage, the willingness to suffer personally rather than betray one's values. History confirms such courage changes societies. If Thoreau's life were told as a parable, it might go like this. A man watches the marketplace fill with noise, everyone shouting, trading, running. He steps away and plants a single seed in silence. While others chase gold, he tends the seed. Years later, when the market fades and the noise dies, people see the tree he grew strong, rooted, alive. His wealth was never in the market. It was always in the seed. Thoreau lived nearly 2 centuries ago, but his questions are ours today. We chase endless productivity. We measure ourselves in likes, dollars, titles. Yet how often do we pause to ask, am I truly living or just consuming? Thoreau reminds us, simplicity is not poverty, it is power. To choose less noise, less distraction, less pretense, so we can choose more truth, more clarity, more life. And his courage reminds us, freedom is not just political, it's personal. It's the freedom to live by your values, even if it costs you comfort. Henry David Thoreau showed us that greatness doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it sits quietly by a pond, living simply, and in that simplicity discovers truths that echo for centuries. So, here's the question for you. What noise in your life is drowning out your truth? And what would happen if you stripped it away, you dared to live more simply and more deliberately, okay? If Thoreau's story stirred something in you, hit LIKE so it reaches more hearts. Share this video with someone who feels trapped in noise. And subscribe for more modern parable stories that remind us that sometimes the biggest revolution starts with the smallest step, living honestly. Because, in the end, the courage to simplify may be the most radical act of all.